With a WWE legend pegged for a career in politics and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. For information regarding WWE stars and a talent agency, Ringside News noted that Paradigm Talent Agency is leveling up its game by launching a new sports division aptly named the Sports Group. According to Deadline, this new venture will be spearheaded by top agents Nicola Piccolo and Brett Hansen. The team promises full-service representation with a dedicated squad of agents crossing multiple departments within the agency. If you're a WWE fan, you might already recognize the influence Paradigm has in the wrestling world. The roster includes marquee names like CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan, and more. Notably, the Sports Group isn't just stopping at wrestling. They're repping big names across various sports, including legends like Aaron Donald, Reggie Bush, and the UFC's Jorge Masvidal. This new group isn't just about representation, it's already making moves. Among their recent accomplishments, the Sports Group secured a media rights deal for the Savannah Bananas with True TV and is developing publishing projects for wrestling stars Natty Neidhart, Tiffany Stratton, and Montez Ford. On the brand front, collaborations for clients include partnerships with industry giants like Nissan, Modelo, and Fanatics, showcasing their reach across the sports and entertainment industries. With powerhouse names and ambitious projects underway, the Sports Group is set to become a major player in athlete representation and cross-platform storytelling. Giving his thoughts on the WWE departure of Baron Corbin, Booker T said this on his Hall of Fame podcast: "It's an opportunity to move on and do something else, because I think Baron Corbin can act. I think he can pick right up and keep this thing rolling, because he was never a guy that was a problem or had a problem with the script, and going out to the ring and laying out that script out in front of a live crowd. He's never had that problem, so acting, I think, will be a whole lot easier for him, just because cut, redo it, cut, let's try that again, that kind of stuff. So I think he could work out in that world very easily." In a video, Kevin Owens can be seen showing Randy Orton a Lamborghini. Explaining how his appearance at WWE NXT came about, Nunzio said this to 10 Count Media: "I mean, they do the Italian gimmick down there, you know, and they were doing a show at the arena. They were bringing some guys back, and they gave me a call out of the blue and asked if I was interested in doing it. I said yeah. They said, we're going to give Tony a call too, and we have some ideas. We took it from there, and it just worked out perfectly. Timing is everything. Looking back, it was a one and done, but it was a good time, and it was nice to be back, nice to see the guys. I mean, a couple of the guys I knew, and a lot of them I know by face because I see them on TV, I watch the show, but it was nice getting to meet some of them. It was a good time for everybody." Sharing his feelings on WWE bringing back ECW in 2005, Rob Van Dam told Busted Open Radio, when WWE brought ECW back, there was several times there that could have been taken as evidence that they were just bringing it back to destroy it. I mean, Vince McMahon was wearing the belt, and they challenged all the OGs with the new breed. To me, they were making a statement there, and I know Vince didn't like it when the fans would chant ECW during his shows when some of us that are represented were in the ring. Going over how he and his brother Jeff nearly left WWE for WCW, Matt Hardy noted on his Extreme Life podcast, "I have no idea. They had reached out to us a little. There was nowhere near as much contact as there was with WWE because we were doing enhancement work for WWE and had a relationship with WWE, and WWE actually thought that we had potential. We were closer to maybe doing something with ECW. That very much could have been a reality back in 97 or 98, right before we signed with WWE. If we would have been in WCW, it would have been really interesting to see how we fit in there. I think we wouldn't have went as far as we did in WWE because it was very much a scenario of right place, right time, right people with myself and Jeff, Edge, and Christian, and the Dudleys." Staying on the topic of the Hardy Boys, they talked about interesting venues they have wrestled at during their careers, with Ringside News writing, "The Hardys recently opened up about some of the most unique places they've wrestled during their storied careers. While global expansion might be a newer concept for sports leagues like the UFC and the NFL, wrestling has long been a worldwide phenomenon, with promotions hosting events across continents for decades." In a recent interview with Fightful, Jeff and Matt Hardy reflected on their most memorable experiences wrestling in far-flung and unconventional locations. Jeff Hardy recalled a particularly surreal event during his second stint in TNA, where he and his fellow wrestlers embarked on a tour in India. "Oh, it's definitely my second run in TNA. We did a little tour in India and the entrance was so bizarre and unreal," Jeff said. Jeff described how wrestlers made their entrances through a mist curtain that doubled as a projector screen. "It was like a mist machine was spraying mist down like you see at theme parks to cool you off. You could see images just like watching a movie on a screen at home, and everybody's entrance was on that mist of water. We walked out through the mist water. It was crazy. I wish I had video of that because it was so unbelievable." Jeff also shared the significance of performing for the troops in Baghdad, a memory that holds a special place in his heart. "A trip to the troops was huge for me too in Baghdad. I did that 3 years in a row and that was so cool." Meanwhile, Matt Hardy reminisced about his international wrestling experiences in Japan, Singapore, and Saudi Arabia. "I think going to Japan for the very first time, that was a big deal to me," Matt said, describing it as a career milestone. "Wrestling in Singapore was a blast. That was very unique. Wrestling in Saudi Arabia too was quite the experience at some place I never expected to be at. All those places were pretty significant, pretty spectacular, and very different from what you're accustomed to." Addressing the possibility of a comeback to WWE, Davey Boy Smith Jr. said this on the Huge Pop podcast. "Yeah, there is that part of me that wants another WWE run to show what I can do. That would have to depend on Jimmy Corderas knows a lot of things in wrestling are just timing. Ted DiBiase was the right guy, right place, right time for what Vince McMahon wanted, and he was there, you know? So Bret Hart happened to be there at a pivotal time in the company when they were pushing smaller talent, with all the scandals that were going on and stuff, but I'll get away from that. But I'm just saying, you know, there could be a point where I'm just the guy for whatever position that they need to come in and fill. But all that I have asked for is the opportunity and a fair chance with some momentum behind it, and you never say never. It is possible. I'll have to see going into 2025. I know All Japan wants to do another 6 months or 1 year deal with me, so maybe it's good to do that for another 6 6 months and then see, or All Japan might be, with me here and the amount of success, the growth that both me and the company have been having. For those viewers that are watching, All Japan has been selling out Cork and Hall every single time I've been on it. I can't even get 2 comp tickets for friends over there. Again, a lot of the other wrestling companies over here, they can't say that, so that's saying a big thing, and it's great to see. I'm glad to be a part of that movement and improvement with the company, but you know what? Hey, maybe I'm a big part of All Japan growing again, and they start bringing over a lot of other gaijin, and the company starts expanding like it really was back in the early mid-90s, so I'm not exactly 100% sure. I'll have to see, but it definitely is possible, and I just would like a fair chance and an opportunity. Talking about the modern themes for WWE superstars, former composer for the company Jim Johnston told Hannibal TV, "You have to find the right music, but once you do, it's like wow, suddenly something you thought had no heart and soul turns out to have tons of it, but somehow the whole business has lost track of that. All the music sounds the same, it doesn't tell a story, it doesn't brand a character, it's just loud and busy with lots of sound effects, and I don't understand why. I think sadly it's due to big corporations and too much money. They cut these huge contracts that last for years, so everything's guaranteed. There's less incentive to innovate and more incentive to just deliver the show than to make the product great. It seems to happen all the time. Corporations get really big, and I hear from a lot of people the same basic complaint. There's no way the CEO of this company actually uses this product, because if he did, he'd fire 20 people after spending 20 minutes just trying to open the package. Are you kidding me? You open it up and there are no instructions included, no batteries. How is that possible? What are we doing here? We used to be a great company. Sadly, unless there's real unbelievable leadership at the top, it just seems to happen as part of the whole corporate cycle. When they're hungry and just starting, they know that the only way to break through is to have the best product and the best customer experience." During that same interview, Johnston said this regarding his firing from WWE in 2017. "For about the last 4 or 5 years I was there, things got really political in a bad way, and finally things just degraded, and Vince McMahon didn't. Vince fired me, basically. I mean, he put it in terms of, I'm not renewing your contract, but that's what it means in my case. By the time it actually happened, I knew it was coming, and I was looking forward to moving on. I'd actually been looking forward to moving on for a long time," Johnston admitted. Despite this, he reflected on how habit kept him at WWE longer than he intended. "In hindsight, I wish I had the foresight or really the courage to just leave, but the force of habit just keeps you rolling." In some unfortunate news, Maria Kanellis revealed her grandfather passed away, writing, "Yesterday, my grandpa Foster passed away surrounded by family at 87 years old. He was the hardest working person I have ever known. He survived polio and lived most of his life on crutches but never complained. He was tough but also would do whatever his family needed him to do. He was always there for holidays, birthdays, supported all of his kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids' endeavors, or if a car needed towed, no matter how much pain he was in. Love you, Grandpa. You will be missed. Thank you for being such a great role model." Touching on the possibility of Hulk Hogan becoming a U.S. Senator in Florida, Ringside News noted that could the political arena soon welcome Hulk Hogan, aka Terry Bollea, as its newest member? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it seems after Florida Senator Marco Rubio was nominated by President-elect Donald Trump for the position of Secretary of State. If Rubio's nomination is confirmed, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will need to appoint a temporary replacement to serve until 2024. 2026. CNN panelist Scott Jennings suggested that DeSantis consider none other than WWE legend Hulk Hogan for the role. If Marco Rubio does in fact become Secretary of State, we're going to need a new senator from the state of Florida, and we need someone with Rubio's national security credentials, Jennings said. Taking a light-hearted approach, he added, "Now, there's one Floridian who can do it. He stood up to the Russians and the Iranians in the 1980s when he defeated the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov, two of America's most lethal foes. He's a real American. He fights for the rights of every man. Hulk Hogan for U.S. Senate." Hogan has been a vocal supporter of Donald Trump throughout the 2024 presidential campaign, making appearances at rallies and endorsing Trump at the Republican National Convention. This close alignment with Trump's political endeavors add fuel to the speculation surrounding a possible Senate bid. Whether Hogan is considering making the leap from the wrestling ring to the Senate floor remains to be seen, but the buzz is palpable. Meanwhile, another WWE name might also step back into politics. Reports suggest that Linda McMahon, former WWE executive and a member of Trump's first cabinet, could be tapped for Secretary of Commerce. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.